Excellent. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:30. And in spirit of reconciliation, we'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes Blackfoot Confederacy, members Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, the Stoney Nakoda of Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Wesley First Nations, the Dene of Tsuut'ina First Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all of those that call Treaty 7 their, Treaty 7 lands their home. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Just as a friendly reminder, I'll ask admin and council and anybody joining us just to check your phones and make sure that we're on vibrate or silenced. Nobody online right yet. And with that being said, let's get moving right along. Are there any addendums or adoptions? Councillor Thompson.
I'll give a motion to accept the agenda with the addendas of 8.2, donation of 2002 GMC fire engine, 9.2, Councillor Heather Thompson's council report. Thank you very much, Verna, for sticking it on there. I thought I'd ask, seeing as how you're adding CAO report, February, March 2022.
Awesome, thank you very much. All those in favor to accept the addendas? Thank you, everybody. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes from our meeting March 2nd, please and thank you. Councillor Lalonde.
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you very much, sir. All those in favor? Wonderful. Thank you. No public hearings at this time. I will open the floor to question period at 6:33. A friendly reminder, if there's anybody attending virtually, to please send those questions in prior to the meeting so that we can address them during this time. So if there are any questions in chambers, we will hear them now. Seeing none, I will close the question period at 6:33. Awesome. Let's move right along to delegations. Diamond Valley Sustainable Living Center. You, sir.
Thank you.
The floor is yours. Thank you very much.
And I guess I've got a clicker over here to drive this. It's happening. Thank you for allowing me to address this group today. The purpose is to give you some indication of this organization that we started nearly 2 years ago. But with COVID, it's been a slow process, and I'm waiting. There we go. Can you move it to?
Sorry, just 1 second. I don't think I've got that on screen share.
Just a presentation mode.
I have to screen share it within the meeting software. And I'm almost there. Sorry. Now
So the current directors are myself, Larry Huska. Larry Ashmore is vice chair. Les Quinton is the treasurer. My wife Susan is the secretary, and Dusty Williams is a director at large. We do have a website, and I have brought some brochures that I'd be happy to let you have some. We started this with the purpose of nurturing a community that lives environmentally, regeneratively, and socially just lifestyle that we can provide the needs as to the extent possible locally. And our vision statement is to live sustainably. We've identified 5 core initiatives. The main ones are food, water, and energy security. And around that, we have the educational component that I'll mention a little bit about each of these. And we also have an initiative to get involved in the use, reuse, and upcycling of resources. So in the education and apprenticeship, we're working closely with the high school, and we hope to expand that beyond the high school in the years to come. We want to have workshops that are designed around those sustainability skills that can be transferred to kids and to adults. The focus would be on those themes of food, energy, and water security. And also we want to foster a spirit of community among members and the larger public. The food security issue, last year I worked with a group at the University of British Columbia, a sustainability capstone program, contacted me, and the program that they worked on was developing a template for gleaning excess food in the area. So we have a document that they put together. It's transferable to any community, but we're trying to implement it here. Basically, it involves having community members identify that they have excess food. We'd have volunteers that would go pick it, and then we would have that as an opportunity. The owner could get a third, the pickers could get a third, and the food bank would get a third. So it's an effort to try to get around this huge wastage that we have of food that's being highlighted in so many different areas. We also hope to foster programs to grow plants indoors so that people have access to high quality food. And we're going to be working with the high school and potential funders to try to build a greenhouse that could be at least a 3-season greenhouse that could feed the commissary for the high school. And there's a very active group of energetic students there that want to get involved in this kind of stuff. So we're pretty excited about that. We meet with them next Tuesday, I believe it is. We also have developed some prototypes, solar ovens, solar dehydrators, so that we don't have to use electricity to do that task. Water security is a growing issue, and I think everybody here is well aware of that. We want to promote the installation of water capture reuse systems. And at some point down the road, maybe you'll plug your ears, we'll be wanting to try to get bylaws that would allow use of gray water. I know that's a big issue everywhere, but it's one that in the sustainability community, that's a real important aspect to be promoting. And overall, just to promote efficient use of water. On the energy security side, we want to work on getting local distribution energy systems. I know that the town is involved in some of that already.
Did you do that?
We want to look for some potential sites that could be in earth sheltered homes or storage facilities. Cogeneration opportunities. I know you've all heard this from Les and other situations. And looking for new energy sources and existing and future technologies. In the upcycling resource area, we have built a prototype shredder that's on the right-hand side. And this creates fragments of plastic that can be then run through an extruder. The extruder creates a filament that can be wound, and that becomes a feedstock for 3D printers that can be used to make various kinds of products. We also have a press that can be used to take something like plastic bags and pressure them into a solid piece. These are just a few examples of some trials that have been run, building some pots on the bottom right. Dusty was making the shields that were so prominent a while back when we needed those, and other little trinkets that are possible. We're very excited about getting a glass crushing unit as well. This basically is a way to take the glass away from the landfills and turn it into useful products. Right now, there's not a lot of value to these. Transportation is the biggest cost of moving this stuff around, but it can be used for sandblasting. It can be used for fill in roadways, around pipes. Supposedly even more secure than just sand because of the way that the glass fragments will bind themselves. It can be used as supplements in farming and building up soil as well. And high quality can be put back in, refired to make various glass forms. So the status, we did receive the certification under the Alberta's Company Act as a private nonprofit organization. The application for charitable status is probably going to go out, if not this week, next week. And we are building a business case for using all of these different initiatives. How do we make it a viable effort? So going forward, we're in the business of looking for a storefront facility so that we could market some of our materials. And we all want to have spaces for educational workshops. We know we can use the library, but we want to have this beyond that as well. And we want eventually to have a light industrial space where we could put the shredders and crushers and basically build a maker space in the Repair Cafe. And so that's what we are all about, and be happy to answer any questions you have, and we'll see where it goes.
Councilor Thompson?
I'm truly excited about this. And I've heard lots about it from Dusty over the years. And it just makes total sense to me. Another way to try and keep stuff out of our landfills. God isn't going to make us any more land. And I keep saying that. And so this is very exciting to see this group moving forward with this. I just have a question regarding Greywater. I know that we, as a municipality, I don't believe have any control over that. And I know that I've spoken even in BC about the whole Greywater situation. And that would be something that would be maybe something that this council or this community could support. And going to Alberta Environment to start that conversation, to start getting that moving forward. So I'm truly excited. Thank you very much for coming in.
I just say in an earlier life, I did a lot of work in environmental risk assessment. And I know we have laws, but they've all been put there by humans. And they're subject to be changed as warranted. So this is down the road, I know that, and I know it's a big political issue, and we would welcome support for that. There's a question.
Yes. Can you turn on Andrew's camera and mic?
I just did.
Awesome, thank you. Councilor Vandenhoek, please, sir.
I just gotta say, I'm just blown away by everything that you guys done, especially on the scale. Just to see that this is something that's kind of being a focus on is so huge, especially within with what's happening right now in our world and all these kind of things. So I also have a question about like the maker space that you guys have. What's it going to take to get that going, and how long do you think it's going to be until you get something like that in the works?
Well, there is one place that we're coveting, and that would be the recycling center in Turner Valley. I know the decisions haven't been made on that yet. If they were to make that available, we're prepared to underwrite all of the expenses necessary to move into that space. It would be ideal for the plastic work, for the glass crushing. There can be sewing centers put in there, a small area for 3D printing, and so on. And that's where a maker space could also dovetail with the Repair Cafe. So the tools are there, people can bring their items in to be repaired. Timeline, we hope to get something going by mid to late summer.
Do you have a follow-up, Councilor Vandenhoek? Okay?
No, that's just really exciting to hear. So yeah, I look forward to hearing more and seeing how this moves forward. So thank you so much for this presentation.
Councilor May?
You may have already done this, but the library had worked at getting together a makerspace a while ago. So if you haven't coordinated or talked to them,
We have.
So
We have.
something you can get. Okay.
But some of the items like woodworking, metalwork is just only working that place. It works great for the quilting group that is there. Poetry group, we can make things there as well. We make creative stuff. I might just add one other thing. A couple of weeks ago, Susan and I went down to Pincher Creek. They were interested in talking to us about what's going on here. And we had some really interesting interactions. And among those were some wonderful, we call them STEAM, not STEM. So it's the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. They had some programs for we little ones that go out and almost learning on a Socratic method. They don't give them answers, they ask questions. And we're very keen on getting that incorporated into our educational system as well.
Please.
One question. Congratulations to you and everyone else on the team. You've accomplished so much for a short time. So
Well, it seems slow at times, but yeah, but we're getting there. And I think we're cresting into that point where it's going to take off. And especially when you get charity status, we can really go after some larger funding sources.
Yeah, just we bought a 3D printer for the school a couple of months ago, and as soon as you said the thread for the 3D printer, my ears perked up right away because our staff is expensive to source that thread. So I'm really interested to see where the potential is certainly there. It's really exciting to hear about it. So congrats again.
It'll be really exciting when we get going.
Yeah, awesome. CEO Brent.
Larry, do you want to leave those brochures with me and I can put them upstairs for some of them?
Perfect.
Do you mind? Thank you.
They're still hot off the press.
Oh, super, thanks.
Oh, he always. Any other questions for? Yes, please go ahead.
When are you presenting to turn it out?
We did last, was it November? October, November. And we're continuing the conversation. There's a lot of things in flux. We don't know when things are going to be cited. And I know you guys are working together with them, so. Very nice to them.
We try our best. Well, if there's no more questions, I thank you, Larry, for taking the time to come in and do the presentation. This is a great opportunity for both communities, and hopefully you get news about the charity status soon, because I'm sure that would expedite things over there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. And feel free to contact me with any questions afterwards.
Perfect. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you very much, Larry. All right. Let's check. Okay, here. Okay, let's move right down to 7.2, I believe. Bylaws. Bylaw 2022-04 to amend bylaw 07-06. And I'm going to pass this over to administration, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, no, please, thank you.
So there's a regulation that is called Community Organization Property Tax Exemption Regulation, which is COPTR. We have a facility in town that has requested, and they now qualify for tax exemption because they are a not-for-profit organization. And that is the Scope Society. It's up at Ridgestone Lodge. So the rules were that they needed to be at 60% capacity. They have now reached the 60% capacity to be able to qualify for official tax exemption. So that's before council to amend the bylaw that we currently have. We have, I think it's 3, the Griffith Center. Yeah, do you mind pulling it up? Because I don't have it all on here. So there is a couple places now that don't pay taxes because of their not-for-profit organization status.
I just have one question about that.
Sure.
Bellfields Curling Club, doesn't that belong to the town?
Well, it's a how to explain it? The building belongs to the town, but the club, it's like It's a shared facility. So they do fit within that.
Yeah, they wouldn't ever pay taxes because the land and the building belong to the town, correct?
My understanding is, and I would have to
Yeah.
check, but I believe that they are co-owners in it,
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
which is why that they're in.
that's something new.
So, yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3 places. This will be the 4th place, I believe. Boys and Girls Club. The Lions Club at the campground, the Curling Club, and the Griffith Center. So this will be the 5th. place. Would have to be exempt from taxes. Based on regulations, government regulations. It's unfortunate from an assessment and a tax point of view, but they do qualify.
Councillor Bain?
What happens if they fall below that 60%? If they lose one unit that's below 60%, how does that work out? Do they have to report to us every now and then, or?
Yeah, there is a follow-up to ensure that they're at capacity. So basically, we do that through fire inspections to make sure that the units are as full as they're supposed to be. And then we would report that. It wouldn't change me.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Thompson?
With that, oh no, never mind. Just a brain. Okay, I'm good. But you know, we're approaching that age 65.
I
We'll
don't.
forgive you.
So,
Be patient.
in this particular facility, you don't have to, it's specific to elderly people that have some developmental disabilities, so.
Well, it's not even elderly people that are in there.
Oh, they've changed their criteria?
Yeah, there's a few, well, not elderly. They're in their 45, 50 range. I've seen a couple. Yeah, no, I think that it's a great thing for our community to have something like that. They do employ quite a few people, so that's important as well. So you might be losing on the taxes, but there's quite a few locals that are there, and I'd be willing to put forward the motion for first reading.
Please do. Do you want to read it?
I can.
Sorry.
That council give first reading to bylaw. This is- Got it here, but
2022-04?
give first reading to bylaw 2202. 0706.
2204 to amend bylaw 707.
0706, the
Right.
taxation exemption of nonprofit organizations bylaw.
Does
First
any-
reading.
Thank you.
Right,
Does anyone want to speak to it before we vote? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, so unanimously passed. So would someone like to give it? Councillor Bain?
Does council agree to give bylaw 2202-04 second reading? I have no comment, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. All those in favor? Thank you, everybody. Unanimously passed once again. Would you like to step up to this one?
I will step up for you,
It's
sir.
all yours, Councillor.
My council agreed to present bylaw 2202-04 for third reading at this time.
All those in favor? Thank you. Unanimously passed. Wonderful.
We need third reading now.
Oh,
one more.
okay. Councillor Vandenhoek.
All right. The council read bylaw 2022, or sorry, I'm getting a bit of a feedback, sorry. I'll start over. That council agreed to give bylaw 2020-04 third and final reading.
All those in favor? Thanks, team. Good stuff. Passed unanimously. Wonderful. Okay. Great. Action items. 8.1, council update regarding implementation of recreational vehicles, parking restrictions.
If I can.
Please do say it.
We brought in our planning and development manager and as well as our two CPO officers who will be discussing the report with council. Basically, the decision was a land use, so the report was created by planning and enforcement is done by our protective services officers. And so any questions or any concerns can be funneled through them as well.
Thank you.
Rod, the floor is yours.
So back in December, council requested that administration bring forward a report discussing the implementation of the new regulations around parking RVs and trailers. Council requested that for February 16th. Much late, but I'm bringing it forward now. So as some background, back in August of 2021, council passed a series of amendments to the land use bylaw that address the parking of recreational vehicles and trailers in front yards. Let's walk through the various amendments. One amendment was to change or replace the term recreational vehicle with the term recreational unit. And the definition for recreational unit included not just RVs and recreational trailers, travel trailers, but also livestock trailers, utility trailers, truck campers. That was included anyway. But off-highway vehicles and their associated trailers and boats and their the trailers that you ride on. So the definition was expanded from not just RVs, but also all other sorts of trailers, vehicles. And then there was a seasonal restriction that was imposed on the parking of RVs and trailers in the front yard between November 1st and April 1st of every year. And there was a regulation to limit the maximum width of a front driveway to 9.15 meters or 30 feet. There was a restriction placed on the use of recreational units as residences. And then there was an amendment to the bylaw to allow for the issuance of fines in order to facilitate the enforcement of these new regulations. The purpose of the amendments was to address several concerns. Before these amendments were passed, there was only one land use district, one neighborhood in town where the parking of RVs was regulated. That was the R1C district, which only applied to the Riverwood and Willow Ridge communities. This was perceived by residents of these communities as unfair when other areas in town didn't have similar restrictions. Another issue was that large RVs and trailers limit visibility, which is cause for traffic safety concerns and also overall community safety. With the large vehicles, large trailers limiting visibility down the street and from your front yard. RVs and trailers parked in front yards also have the effect of limiting the parking that's available to passenger vehicles. So if the RVs and trailers are parked on front driveways, the passenger vehicles end up being parked on the street, which can pose difficulties in the wintertime when vehicles need to be removed from the street to facilitate snow removal, especially in neighborhoods that don't have rear laneways to provide alternative places to park. And before these amendments were made, the only front yard parking restrictions apply to RVs, not to utility trailers or livestock trailers, which can cause the same concerns that RVs cause regarding blocking views and limiting visibility and also limiting the available parking. Since snow removal is only an issue during winter months, and RVs are used during summer months, a seasonal restriction on parking in the front yard is seen as reasonable to accommodate the needs of residents to have access to the RVs during the summer and to ensure that there's sufficient off-street parking available in the winter to allow for the clearance snow. The rationale for limiting the width of a front driveway to 30 feet was to prevent people from turning their entire front yard into a driveway to allow the parking of as many vehicles as possible. It was felt that 9.15 meters is wide enough to comfortably accommodate parking 3 vehicles. And that should be suitable in a residential community. So in terms of how we've been implementing these new regulations, we need to go through how we've been interpreting some of these terms. So although most people think of front yard as everything between the street and the front of a dwelling, the land use bylaw doesn't. The land use bylaw defines a front yard as a fixed distance from a property line back into the property a certain distance. And that distance varies depending on the land use district, but in the land use districts that the RV parking regulations apply to, the specified distance is either 4.5 meters, which is 15 feet. In the case of a property that doesn't have a front garage that faces the street. So if you just have a house and no garage, your minimum setback is 4.5 meters. But if you have a garage facing the street, then your minimum setback is 6 meters. So your front yard is 6 meters. So the front yard is either 4.5 if you don't have a garage door facing the street, or 6 meters if you do have a garage door facing the street. That's what the front yard is defined as by the law. And in the case of a corner lot where you have 2 yards facing, two streets, the front yard is defined as the narrow width of the lot, and the side yard is the long length of the lot. So most lots are rectangular. You'll have a narrow length and a longer length, and the narrow portion is the front yard and the longer portion is the side yard. So there's a practical challenge in enforcing this bylaw, and that's the difficulty in determining where is the property line. Not all properties have front fences, and even if they do have a front fence, there's no guarantee that the fence is on the property line. And not all property lines are set back the same distance from a sidewalk or a curb. Just for an enforcement bylaw officer approaching a property, it's difficult to know exactly where the property line is, and the front yard is a function of, or is measured from, the property line back a certain distance. So just providing some background into how we approach enforcement. Because it's difficult to determine where a property line is, the approach that the town has taken in enforcing this is to apply the rule of thumb that is to measure back from either 4.5 meters, is to require that RVs and trailers be set back at least 4.5 meters from the back of sidewalk or the back of the curb if there is no sidewalk. Now this has the effect of, some properties have a lot of boulevard. They'll have 2 or 3 meters of boulevard, which isn't their property, it's part of the road right of way. Other properties have absolutely no boulevard at all, especially in Willow Ridge. The front property line is like right at the back of the sidewalk, or right, right at that curve, there is no sidewalk. So, it's just part of the situation we find ourselves in town. Some properties have a lot of boulevards, some don't. What we have been doing is requiring the RVs to be parked back at least 4.5 meters from the back of sidewalk or back of curb, which there is no sidewalk. That's the approach, because otherwise we would have to determine where the property line is. The CPO would have to get a real property report, and we often have that for properties, but they have to get that and then go to the site and measure and determine where the property line is and conduct the measurement. And that hasn't been the approach that we've taken in enforcing these new regulations. There are instances where permits for home occupations have been granted. In the approval for the home occupation, there was approval given to parking trailers associated with the business, and in those instances, those trailers are permitted to be parked year round. So those approvals predated these amendments, and so the approach has been to continue to allow these trailers to remain parked in the front yard, even if they don't comply with the setback that were required. So the effect of these regulations and the education and enforcement that our CPOs have done in working with our community to meet the new regulations has been that many RVs have been removed from the front drive. They haven't been able to meet the minimum setback requirement, and so there is a visibility in the communities has improved. There's fewer RVs parked in front yards, and there is more parking available in the front drives. Now, due to the lack of heavy snowfall this year, and lack of need to impose parking restrictions for snow clearing, we haven't been able to assess the effect and what the effect has been ultimately in helping us clear the streets so that we can get our equipment in to remove the snow. But that's essentially what the town has been doing to date to enforce the regulations since they've been adopted. We have to take any questions.
Thanks for that. Okay.
I'll do next.
Okay, we'll start with Deputy Mayor Kliber.
So if I'm asked in community, can I park my trailer RV here? I don't want to follow bylaw. I don't want to come talk to me and yell at me. Sorry, guys. Do I just tell people if you measure 15 feet from back curb or back sidewalk, if you have one?
That's the approach we've been taking. Councilor Kliber.
That's exactly what these folks have done and requested multiple people to do that. And every single one of them has agreed with that. You can still keep their RV on their property because it doesn't cause any visual restriction of the roadways if they're 15 feet back from sidewalk or curb. Most of those are in the older part of town. In the newer parts of town, in those subdivisions, that distance is almost impossible to park an RV because your garage is right there. So there's only a couple that are in that position right now, but the majority of the ones have complied with that and are good with that situation for the winter months. Does that answer?
Follow up, please.
So in your opinion, does the bylaw mesh with what is going on in real life?
Right now it does, yes. Yeah, I think we identified 39 units that were in non-compliance of what Rod and I had discussed, and my former partner Dylan, what we had discussed when we wrote this bylaw. And as of today, all of those units are in compliance with what we had asked. So I think I only had one real negative response to this bylaw from a citizen. And we dealt with that. There was a large amount of photographs and things sent to me. We had that conversation with the person, told them exactly what I'm telling you about the 15 feet from curb or sidewalk for the vision part of it. And once he went back around and looked at the photographs that he has taken, he realized that almost all of them were in compliance with what we had asked them to do.
Yeah, Councillor Thompson.
Thanks, Rod. Clarifies quite a bit. But, you know, like the two letters that we received, one of them was that they had and it was in the old part of town, and they had the gravel parking pad, and their unit had been sitting there for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden they have to take it. It doesn't work anymore. So my question and the motion read, is there to investigate the permitting of RVs in special circumstances, or circumstances where these people could be grandfathered by getting their RV, and it's totally, you're totally right, Jim. It's like the old part of town where people have been doing it for 30 years, and then all of a sudden they feel slighted to quite a bit of extent, some of the people that I've talked to, because the new residents that come into town, all of a sudden, you know, they want everything to be fair for everyone, but most of the old lots in town are quite substantially larger than the newer lots in town. So that was my question was to investigate the permitting of RVs. And in certain circumstances where maybe a home in the older part of town has built a specific RV lot, gravel pad or something, and now it doesn't work with the new bylaw. So they're feeling slighted, and it's just, if there was a way to actually give some people in the older districts with the larger lots the opportunity to get a permit and pay for that permit to allow them to do what they've been doing for 20 years. So that was what my question was with this motion, was to investigate that possibility, and if other communities do something like that. And I mean, it would be, you know, the older parts of town in smaller communities that these people are affected by this bylaw. And, you know, all of a sudden they're not allowed to do it. And a lot of people, and it's the same old thing, you don't really speak out about anything until it affects you, you know. So that was my question, is there an opportunity to permit RVs that have already got, you know, parking pads or gravel pads ready, set, go, and they've been keeping their RVs there, now all of a sudden they can't.
Let me start with you, Rob.
Thank you.
Please go ahead, yeah.
Yes, Councillor Thompson, I apologize. I didn't understand, or I misunderstood the motion, and so my report didn't address the concern that you intended to be addressed. So I have to apologize for that. I'll have to prepare another report to answer answer the motion.
Yeah, that's just, the question was permitting RVs, and my concern was mostly in the older part of town where people have got the gravel paths, or even some have got paved paths that they're not allowed to use anymore because of this bylaw. And there's not a lot of them, and as Jim says, most people are complying with everything now, but you know, I have heard that, and if there's 3 or 4 people that potentially could use their pads again by getting a permit and paying for a permit, and they're not blocking line of sight and causing traffic issues. I mean, there would have to be rules within the permit, of course, to allow it, but that was just my question was, could we permit for those people that have got that situation?
Please, John, go ahead.
If you could forward to me the person that has made that statement, I would appreciate that. Because every single RV in the older part of town is capable now of parking on their property. There's not one that was asked or has been moved off the property that doesn't comply. So every single one in the older part of town, as you're stating, now has the ability to have that 15-foot setback that we've asked. Right?
Actually, the reason I put forward the motion, Jim, was this letter specific that we got back in November.
Yeah, I've never seen that language, so I don't know if I've addressed that property that was in that letter or it was given to me, because I don't ever remember recalling seeing that letter. So I couldn't go and investigate if they have a property that is like that, and maybe just a minor adjustment of their trailer will put them in full compliance, and there's no need to go into a permitting situation for that to occur, right?
Yeah,
So
they do say in the letter that they did speak to bylaw. The last name is Alves. Rennell Alves. So just that's the reason I put my motion forward way back.
Yeah.
Way back when we got this, both these letters came in November. So right after the election, and we're just getting to it now.
I know what one of them was.
The other one was Bill and Sandy Baxter. So that's the only reason I put the motion forward that way, is to investigate that. Just so that we have an answer for these people. Could we allow with a permit or not? Maybe we can't. Maybe it's unreasonable.
It probably wouldn't be unreasonable as long as I can investigate their property to see if it's possible. Because if I'm not mistaken, about 6 residents in the older part of town, all they had to do was push their trailer back another 3 or 4 feet and they were in total compliance. They have a parking pad that they built and it's been there for the last 20 years, but all they had to do was move it back 3 or 4 more feet and they had another 10 feet that they could move it back. And then they were in compliance, and they were quite satisfied that when they bring it home, now they have a little marking on their pad, well, okay, this is where my trailer goes in the wintertime, and I'm good. Right, so if I can get those properties identified, then I might be able to go and talk to them and say, okay, you have this extra room, all you gotta do is do this.
And I'm sure you've been doing that, but
I have to.
that's the reason why I put that motion forward way back then.
Yeah.
And, you know, listening to you tonight, it sounds like everybody's complying, but my question was to investigate the permits.
And that would be
To
allowing
respond to these permits.
permits in just the older part of town, which what this whole bylaw is about, to make it equal for everyone. Because the newer part of town, there's no way that anybody is going to be able to comply with that distance from curb or sidewalk and put in a 20 to 30 foot part B and leave it there on the own. There isn't a property, then you can put that in your frontage, in your front yard.
Yeah. Like, and I agree, like, but is it fair to everyone just because, right? Because these people have lived here for that long. They have the larger lots. I mean, you got to look at it from both sides. So now, you know, so if we had a permitting, if we were able to permit some of those people in the older part of towns, maybe that would be a solution. Because who knows, like some people move out here so that they can get those larger lots, you know, so it just, I just think it would be more fair to everyone if we had a solution for those people that have been doing it for 40 years versus a new subdivision that's only been here for 10 years. And I mean, that's why I bought my house in a new subdivision, is because I didn't want the big yard to take care of, you know, and a lot of people, you know, so That's just it. So I would look forward to hearing back, Rod, if there's an opportunity to permit RVs in the older part of town for those lots that I don't know if it's a big deal anymore, and maybe it's, you know, if council wants to chime in, whether they think after hearing the report and hearing from Jim, if it's something that we move forward with, but these two people should be responded to.
I would like to respond, Heather, if I could.
Go ahead, Councillor Dunning.
Like, I think the rule should be the rule should be the rule. And if these people can fulfill the requirement as far as the positioning of the RV, that's great. To me, it doesn't matter if you're doing it for 30 years or if you moved into a place where you thought you could park your RV and just found out 2 years ago that you can't anymore, then they're just as put out as the people that have been there for 30 years. That time doesn't mean anything to me. Maybe it means something to you, but there are people that did move into a place, the bylaw changed and they can no longer do it. And there might have been people that moved from another community to our community in order to park their RV there during the winter, and now they can't. So it's unfair for everybody, in my opinion, but the rule is the rule is the rule. If it is causing a safety issue, it causes a safety issue whether you have a permit or not. So that should never be overlooked. I just think that if it's a safety issue, we have to respect that, and it can never have a lessening of that, because that's the whole reason why you're doing it, is because you want to make sure that people are safe.
Thanks, Councillor Dunning. Anyone else right now? You hear me, Councillor Vandenhoek? I've got a copy of that letter if you want it, Jim.
Or if we can, I'll share.
Just the address is on it.
Okay, it's not on the side.
Go ahead and look and see, because I'm pretty much guaranteed that, you know, if I do an inspection on the property and where their trailer was and size wise, especially in the older part of town, the lots are huge. You can easily put a 25 to 30 foot on just about, some of them have multiple.
Trailers.
Exactly, right? They have the space for that, right? So, yeah, if I can just get those, then I will definitely look into that and get back to you with what I had found, and if it's possible.
Yeah, if you could even just respond to those individuals,
exactly.
Because I don't want Rod to go through the work of another report if it's not necessary. But those people should be responded to, in my opinion.
Councillor Vandenhoek.
Yeah, just to clarify, I mean, at the beginning, I guess it was all up in arms as well, but to find out that everybody is compliant is kind of like, well, what are you gonna do, right? But with that, in the neighborhoods, like with Veronica brought up, can somebody still park an RV as long as it's 15 feet, or were you talking about having to get a permit to do that? Is that still something we're able to do? I just want some clarification, sorry.
From what I understand, Councillor Vandenhoek, as long as it's 15 feet back from the backside of the sidewalk or the curb on the street, you're good to go.
Just, okay, flat out, okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, no
Right.
permit
I
required.
don't really need for a permit then, as Andrew brought up, then yeah, if it would focus safety issue, then there's no point in bringing it up at all. So, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
A very simple request. Can we get another report after April and see the influx of trailers that are permitted for the season? If there are any issues, sightline problems, complaints, any of that?
Sure, I can do the same thing I did when this all came about, when the previous council was asking, you know, is this really an issue, or how many there are, or, you know, how many are restricting sight lines and things like that. Come April 1st, you'd probably give me maybe to the middle of May, when people really start bringing their RVs back, right? And see how many
people have taken them away and brought them back and see if that concern is still there. Right? So I'm pretty sure I know 6 or 7 offhand that will definitely bring their RVs back as soon as that April 1st date hits. So if it gives me just a little bit, because some people might not bring it back right away, but I will definitely do another count number and have a discussion with Rod, and we can get that forward to the council to see if there's a huge difference on season to the next.
June is fine.
Sure.
Just so we have something to look at. Thank you very much.
I just have a question, Jim. Do you do like quarterly reports to council that you could include things like that in?
Usually my quarterly report is with discussions with Charlene on things that come up over the year. We haven't done quarterly reports to council since we abandoned our protective service. And Charlene does her report, which is, she comes to me, we talk about things, and then she'll give part of what our conversation was and part of her report to you. But I don't specifically do one anymore since we disbanded. We used to have a protective services committee. Since we disbanded that a few years ago, we get my conversations usually with Charlene, and then she puts it in the report to you guys. I think she's going to give you her part of her report. There's some things there from my department later on this evening.
It could be included in that as well.
Yes.
Always do a formal report on this because I think it's important for community.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us all to, if I could.
Please do.
It's important for us to be able to understand what the difference between winter and summer is going to be, because the constraints around visibility and safety in the 1C district is going to be, although we don't have snow that we have to remove at that point in time, but there is some visibility issues in those particular areas.
That's great.
So now we'll be allowing that, and it's nice to know the differences.
There you go.
That work for you?
No issue at all with it. Not spelling error, not Sharon's place. Okay, fine. Could use a 7.
Well, thank you for doing the house to house. I know you've been busy this season with the trailers, so thanks for addressing it and being patient.
Really simple.
Yeah.
95% of our residents all understood the reasons why they're asking this. There's only 3 or 4 that decided to say something negative about the change in the bylaw. The majority of the residents complied right away, and I have had no issues.
Yeah.
As long as that stays in effect.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. CA.
So I just need to be clear, you want statistics on the number of RVs that are parked, that are compliantly parked in town? Because I don't know if that's what we're looking for.
No, and also, are there any issues come up now that there's all these new RVs or more RVs parked in compliance? How do we say this?
Nice.
The statistics would just be the number. Am I correct in my understanding of that? Although I really like the idea of just having a number.
Statistics, I just asked you, like the VIN number, or ton full, or gooseneck, or so.
Was your concern kind of around the safety aspect and the
Well, it seems
visibility? That's
to be what we keep going back to. It's not an aesthetic problem, it's a safety line of sight issue.
like an assessment of safety concerns related to visibility. Is that
What I really want to know and not have to go out and do myself is how many RVs encroach into that 15-foot region.
Is it different during April? Yeah, there's a different measurement, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's much closer to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It's like a meter,
meter and a half.
meter and a half, yeah.
And how the complaints increase based on that change.
And
Or not specifically.
Well, just a report on any complaints that you've received since the bylaw went into
And
play.
I guess I'll have to drive around and see how hard it is to see cats and children running around, but yeah, that's what I want to know. How bad is it?
Just stand aside.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know, and are the measurements correct? Like, should we back them up more? Should we allow them to come out farther? I don't know.
But we would use this information to discuss that.
We need to change bylaws necessarily.
It's just like,
yeah, that would work. Thank you.
Work on my ESPN.
no, I just said, we're just take it away, whatever you said, and then just delete it later if it doesn't work.
Pretty much covers
It
it.
looks good.
Because if we ask Jim to do a report, then it's going to be probably either Matt or myself that will be putting that together based on his interpretation of what's going on.
Heather, it's a senior thing.
Would you like to give us that?
Yeah, I'll read that. Okay. I consider it read. The council agreed to request that administration provide a report to council in June to provide statistics on the number of RVs compliantly parked, non-compliantly parked, and report on any safety issues arising, and including the trending complaints on the matter, and include the trending complaints on the matter.
And if I could we see the screen just before we vote, just so that we can see? Okay. Does anyone want to speak to the motion before we vote? Okay, seeing none. Bring the guys back. Hello, gentlemen. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, unanimously passed. Please make that motion. Councilor Lalonde.
I'm going to give you a motion that council agree to receive this report for information.
All those in favor?
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl. Unanimously passed, and thank you, gentlemen, for everything that you guys do. That's good. Okay,
See you
yeah,
tomorrow.
pleasure to meet you.
Welcome, Matt.
Yeah, we'll see you around. We'll make sure to let you know what kind of view. See you around, thank
Hopefully
you.
Don't see him around.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's move on. Good stuff. We'll move into 8.2, donation of the 2002 GMC fire engine. And I apologize, I'm not sure who's gonna speak to that one. Is that administration or, okay, so I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, so this is one of the reasons why we had an addendum earlier this evening. We've had an opportunity to potentially, although we have not received the new fire engine yet, we know that the NFPA standards will not be met on this new fire engine. We know that it does not meet the fire writers fire underwriter survey regulations. We know internally that we are having challenges getting the mechanical parts to be able to fix the pressure to make the engine work the way it's supposed to work. Some of those constraints are part of the reason why that the request for a donation on a humanitarian cause to Austin Belize has come forward. The retail value of the sale of that fire engine may be prohibited because of, these other issues, because the NFPA standards are all the way across Canada. And they're also because of North American standards. So again, it would be the same in the States. So if you don't meet the standards in one particular area in North America, your value at auction is going to be severely compromised. We don't have anywhere to house this engine. We don't have anywhere to fix this engine, which is the reason why we were buying a new one. There has been an opportunity that the fire chief has been working through with Southern Emergency Services, which is a not-for-profit charitable organization that is helping the country of Belize get its EMS and fire services up and running. And so that's there for council's consideration.
Thank you.
Question,
Please go ahead, Councillor Dunning.
how many hours are on the 2002? On the engine, not the fire part of it, the motor part of it? Because that has there's a lot of value there. So how many hours? When was the last time it was rebuilt? And what type of engine is it? On the auction, it would go for a lot of money, not necessarily for a fire truck, but it can go for money because of that. When were the tires changed last? Because the tires on that are worth thousands of dollars also. So if we're talking about thousands of dollars, I would like to know how much money we're giving away. Because if we're going to write a check essentially or giving away taxpayer money, I'd like to know how much that value is. It may not be worth anything as a fire truck, but it might be worth something for an industrial vehicle, engine that can be used for other items or other things. We need to have the full picture before we start giving away taxpayers' money.
Thank you, Councillor Dunning. Councillor Vandenhoek?
It's just a follow-up with that too. If we can't house it, how much would it cost to make sure that it stays in maintained value for X amount of time? Because that might offset the cost of whatever we might get at auction too. So donating it might just be the best option. And then with that same thing, how long can we expect to be missing a fire truck for, waiting for the do we have a timeline on that?
Okay, I'm gonna let CAO Brown answer that second part of your question, Councillor Vandenhoek.
The second part of the question I can answer. I do not have the value of the engine, how many hours is on there, the tire changes, but I can supply that information. The cost of housing. We would have to get a totally new facility to be able to house this unit. There's nowhere in Public Works that it can go. There's nowhere in Turner Valley it can go. And there is no room in the inn at the fire hall where this surplus engine would be able to go. So it would be the cost of building a new, either an addition or a new unit, or buying it, some sort of storage locker. So I can find out how much a storage locker would be for the period of time. The new engine, which is Canadian made, is being sourced from Burnaby, BC. It's just in the process right now of getting refitted for our use, and it's anticipated. The old engine, the surplus engine, 2002, is still being used. It just does not meet the standards anymore. So it's not that it's surplus at this time, it's still in use. It went out to Turner Valley 3 days ago, right? So still fights fires, and it's still available to do that type of work. So it's not like we were going to be without a fire engine. Because the transfer over will not occur until we get that new engine.
Can we also get the, specifically which NFPA it's not going to suffice? And what will it take to make it past that? And then also, is there any auction information on a 2002 GMC engine that's been sold recently, so we can at least get approximate value? Maybe if we talk to the auction houses or something, and somebody can let us know. Like I said, we just don't know what the value is that we're thinking about helping a wonderful community of Hopkins, which is 1,500 people of multi-million-dollar houses. I looked it up. It looks like a really nice place to live.
CAO Brown. I'm going to come back to you, Councillor Vandenhoek.
There was one question that you had asked that I didn't quite catch, and it was the approximate, just in that last statement, Councillor Dunning.
Okay,
so the NFPA. The NFPA was supplied to council, and I believe it's NFPA 17, and that Fire Chief Campbell, in the first request to purchase a new fire truck, made it very clear that that was the standard, and I will go back and confirm, but it's NFPA 17. Everybody was in attendance for that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I remember seeing it now that you mention it. Thank you for that.
Would you like me to resupply it?
Approximate. Pardon?
Would you like me to, do you want us to resupply that to council, or you're okay with that?
I have it right here.
Okay.
So the other question was, I don't know if you got that. Is there a previous sale of a 2002 or around that area at auction, that we can get an approximate value.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, and also, Charlene, I know that Jamie, when he presented, when we were talking about the new fire truck, Jamie said that he would get us a estimate on the sale value of that engine, so I agree with Andrew. Although I like the idea of donating, but I also agree that we shouldn't be giving it away without having that estimate. And also, I don't know that some of our smaller villages here in Alberta or in Canada or some of the First Nations couldn't have a donation similar to this. So that's my thoughts.
Celia O'Brien.
Chief Gamble is on training tonight and he was more than willing to come up to the council chambers to have a conversation with council about this. So we might be able to answer those questions right away for you, Councillor Dunning. If that's okay.
Yeah, actually, I'd prefer to have it in just maybe in a quick little email. That'd be awesome. I'm actually going to have to bow out of this meeting, and I was kind of holding on for this one here. So just a question, is it the Belize Heroes? Is that the organization that which organ? I'm sorry, and I was in that thing that you put together, but
No.
are they affiliated with Belize Heroes? Okay.
Belize National Fire Service.
No, it's the Belize National.
Go ahead, Celia.
The memorandum of understanding, Councillor Dunning, is with the Belize National Fire Service. It is not the Belize Heroes. It's this is the actual country that the Southern Emergency Services is working with, setting
Okay.
up the EMS and fire services.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was looking up Fred's information there and seeing what he's done. He's done some great things. But I do believe that charity begins at home, and if money can be put back into our community or other portions of our community, if it's worth something, then I'm all for that. But if I don't know that Hopkins, I know there's no fire department in Hopkins right now, and I know this is the part of the thing of trying to get a fire department there. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure they need a fire truck, but it's 5,829 kilometers from us. So I'm sure there's a fire truck between there and where we are.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Dunning. Councillor Vandenhoek, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours, sir, and I won't let anyone take it away from you.
No, sorry, that kind of all clarified it up. I just basically was wondering when we were looking at donating it, and yeah, Charlene cleared that up. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Chad. Councillor Bain.
Just to confirm, if it were donated to a town or village close to us, it couldn't be used as a fire truck. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, so we don't, yeah. That's one thing. Do we know how the fire truck, if it is donated, how it will get to the airhead?
Celia O'Brien.
My understanding of that is that it would be getting transported down to the border, just as far as the border, and then Southern Alberta Emergency Services would provide the rest of the logistics to get it to.
It's gonna, I think in Jamie's email it says it's going to go on a C-17 from Montana.
Yeah, my concern or question was how does it get to the airhead? And the reason
We drive it.
pardon me?
We drive it.
Okay, all the way down from
To
here?
To
Just,
Montana.
okay, and then somebody else takes over?
Logistics are provided by somebody else.
The reason that I was asking about that is at no cost to the town, other than a couple of per diems, I would be willing to escort the truck down there, arrange my own accommodation at no cost to the town, and get back at no cost to the town. If that can be arranged easily, then I'm willing to do that. Perhaps a little bit of excellent PR for the town. And did you have a rough timeline of when
Probably within the next couple of weeks,
Next couple weeks?
couple months. Nothing happens quickly in this one.
No.
And ultimately, we have to wait for the new engine to get.
Yeah, that's what I was, yeah.
So ultimately, okay,
Question of clarification.
please.
This information, because council, I don't know if council's going to be making a motion or not. Do you need this information prior to making your decision?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
therefore we'll have to wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's no vote on this one right now?
Michael,
Oh, okay, please go ahead, Heather. Or Ken.
that council agreed to defer the discussion regarding the 2002 GMC fire engine to the February,
April 16th
April,
meeting.
yeah, first meeting in April.
April 16th meeting. Yeah.
Sorry. I lost track of where I was there.
You don't have to apologize, you just have to say, wait, just wait. for
You all did it. You just waited.
Yeah, don't apologize to us.
Is it okay if I use the word postpone?
Yeah, postpone is fine. On the 2002 GMC fire engine truck donation.
Do you want specifics?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So we have the cost of storage. If we have to keep it,
I'm just gonna bullet this if
that's
that's all
fine.
right.
I'm good with that.
Is that all right with
Yeah.
you, Counselor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry,
Cost of storage, I heard. Value of the truck. How many hours the engine has on it? Last tire change. The value of the tires, I believe. Councillor Dunning, you want the value of the tires?
Yeah. If they're like, fairly new, I know that they can be thousands of dollars, so it'll all go towards the value of the actual truck. And yeah, if we could just, but essentially, I just want to know if there's value. So if it's not a fire truck and we don't have value there, is there value otherwise? And if, what is that value? So if we're going to give it away, at least we can say to the constituents that we knew what we're giving away. We weren't just giving it away without having the value and understanding of what we're agreeing to.
Okay, and previous sale values, I think was the other piece.
Yeah, like.
Previous sales, I'm actually on auction pages now to see if I can find anything, but yeah, that would be really good to see if there's any available information on that as well, please.
Did we miss anything on that? Johnson?
I think that'll work out really well.
Are you gonna read?
No,
Okay.
I was just gonna ask a question. Does anyone know how much it would cost to get an appraiser to give us an idea, rather than have administration spend a lot of time talking to auction companies and finding out all of these things? It might be a lot easier. I don't know if that does anything to mess up the motions.
I thought that's what Jamie was looking into when he presented through the new fire engine, that he was gonna check into,
That was my understanding.
that he was gonna check into the auction value. He was gonna check into
Yeah.
that. So he may have already have done that, but that is,
Yeah, and if he turned up nothing, then that's all we need to hear.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't able to find anything, which would help us with this. Okay, I'm gonna, Councillor Lalonde has
Okay.
something to say.
I'm gonna talk in the opposite of this, and I respect completely the questions. looking for information. However, when I look at it now we're spending money. We're gonna take the time to investigate this stuff, so now we're spending money. When you look at the value of the truck, Chief Campbell made it clear when he did his presentation when we bought the new one, that is dependent on who's looking where at the time of what. And if we take it to one auction and it doesn't sell, we gotta bring it back. If we take it to the second auction, we gotta bring it back. It's whoever's in the market, and it's a fire truck. It can only be sold as a fire truck. We can't take the box off it and then sell it at an auction. It is registered and manufactured and CVIT as a fire truck. It has to go as a unit. That's the bottom line on that one legally, as far as I'm aware. The last tire change and estimated value of its tires, they're only valuable to us. If we take them off the truck, we have to put different tires on the truck to sell it, because anybody else who buys that truck, even though the tires are worth a few $1,000s, it's a used tire, and you're not going to get the street value or a market value that you get for it. It's just like the tires off your car. On Facebook, you're not going to get top value up to it. So all these steps that we're taking now, when we're looking at trying to save money, we are spending money. I looked at this as an opportunity to be a positive investment on moral or ethics or whatever you want to call it, to a community that needs support. Like it's posted in the RFP, these guys are using a golf cart to save lives. Okay, and yeah, you know, maybe it does cost our taxpayers a few bucks if we give away a few good tires, but at the end of the day, we're trying to bring good in a world that right now is dying. For the last 2.5 years, we've suffered. Now we've got war in Ukraine. We've got darkness all around us, and we've got a chance to do something right for maybe $1 or $2. And for me, I'm willing to give up that $1 or $2 instead of doing all this extra work to do what's right and set up a community on a step that may be the bright shining star in their future, to be the step to make something work for them. That's the reason I pushed this through. That's the reason I wanted this on the agenda. That's the reason I'm in support of sending this truck to Belize. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bowman.
So Daryl, not against giving people a fire engine that is needed for a community. I'm not against that. And I think you might have missed that point. If I'm going to give away something of value on behalf of constituents, I want to know what the value is before I give it away, because I think that's the responsible thing to do as an elected official. It has nothing to do whether or not I want to save the world, because I'm sure everybody wants to save the world. But I think we owe it to our constituents to at least have a value. Everyone's saying it's not worth anything, and I can tell you that a diesel engine that is running is worth something. And I only use the tires as an example of a piece of stuff that's on that truck that's worth money, because I know, because I work for a construction company and we buy tires all the time. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's mind-blowing how much money is spent on tires. So all I'm saying is that if there's value here, I want to know what the value is. If we're going to give it to a community and we're going to make a decision on it, I would like to know what the value is that we're giving away. And I think that's responsible.
Thank you, Councillor Dunning. And I would, and I'll come right back to you. The fire engine at this point isn't going anywhere until we get the new one. So we are asking administration to put in some work here to get those numbers. I think that, to Councillor Dunning's point, it's responsible to do that just so that we have the information. And at the end of the day, if the truck's worth $10,000 but we can't sell it, then we're going to end up donating it to Belize or to another community. But we still do have some time on our side here. So there's no hurry because we're not sending it next week. But I just wanted to make note of that. Did you want to say anything?
Don't we need this information for like asset management, total budget, tax write-offs, however that happens for municipalities?
CEO Brown?
May I respond to that?
Please do.
It's the truck's already been depreciated out. It hasn't been an asset in 2 years.
Okay. All right. Would we like to read the motion back, Councillor Thompson? If we could?
Shared screen again.
I think we're probably okay to do that.
The
Okay.
council agreed to postpone the 2002 GMC fire engine donation discussion to the April 6, 2022 council meeting, and request administration provide further information regarding cost of storage, value of the truck, hours on the engine, last tire change, and estimated value of tires, documented sale values of comparable vehicles.
Okay, would anyone like to speak to it one last time before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor? And all those opposed? One opposed. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's carry on down to 9.1 committee minutes requiring council acceptance. Councillor Clover.
I give you a motion to accept 12 JPAC meeting minutes from January 12th and February 9th.
Okay. If nobody wants to speak to the motion, all those in favor to accept as information? And pass unanimously, thank you very much. Was it as information? This is accept. Okay, we accept it. Okay. 9.2 council reports. Notable that Councillor Thompson had hers submitted. So thank you very much. And thank you.
I thought
Verna.
I'd sent it to Verna and I hadn't. It
Thank you.
was honest, Verna, it was done. And then I looked and I'm going, oh my God.
It's okay.
Okay, do we accept those as information? You do? You can, please. Do you want to go ahead?
Actually, it requires a motion.
Okay.
So the Oilfields High School, we put out letter of support for their initiatives that Larry was talking about. They're working in conjunction with Diamond Valley Sustainable Living Center. And Oilfields High School is just requesting another letter of support from council that we think they're awesome and doing a great job.
Thank you.
Good motion.
Okay, are you gonna give it to us?
Sure.
Okay,
Can you follow up with the details, please?
Right.
No, just the details, because I don't know who to send it to.
Yes, I will email you, Brent.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say goodnight to Councillor Dunning. Thanks for joining us. He's got a split, so we'll say goodnight to him.
Hey, thanks, guys. Sorry, I have to go.
Yeah.
I'm looking for fire trucks.
We'll talk to you later, Councillor Dunning. Enjoy the trade show.
Hey, cheers, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so where does this leave us right now? Are you making a motion?
I can.
Okay,
If we could actually, is this arising out of your report?
Yes.
If we could accept the report and then make the motion, just like we do with correspondence, that would be fabulous.
okay. So we'll, if I could get a motion to accept the council reports as information, Councillor Bain.
We accept the council reports for information purposes. Nothing further to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. All those in favor to accept? Okay, carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And at this time, I will give the floor back to Deputy Mayor.
Go on.
Clover. And we will patiently wait for Verna so that she does not have to say some things for everyone's information.
Turn the screen back up. Okay.
2, right? A letter of support. Belfields High School.
Okay.
Sustainability group.
This is one thing.
I can correct,
Sustainability group is what we call it.
I can correct that if you send this stuff before the minutes are done.
Take care of someone. For their future initiatives and endeavors. That's 2022.
Sorry. Which one is it?
Sure.
You comfortable with that? Okay.
Okay, when you send the information, if I need to tweak the name of the group, I can do that at that point.
Marie, please.
The council agreed to write a letter of support for Oilfields High School's sustainability group for their future initiatives and endeavors 2022. Yes. I don't know what they're calling it.
Would anyone like to see, would anyone like to speak to the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Sorry.
You got your face there, Chad, or just a hand?
His hands up.
It's got his hand.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Vanderhook, and thank you, Deputy Mayor Glover. Cool. Okay, last but not least, fire engine searcher, 9.3. Administrative inquiries and staff reports, our CAO report, February to March 2022. Charlene Byrne, the floor is yours.
2006 fire trucks are worth about anywhere from 20,000 to 60,000.
I was working one.
Shooting issues on here.
Pardon?
Right.
That's yeah. Anyway, that's what I
We'll
think.
circle back to that.
We'll circle back to that. We'll find out more information.
06 may need ratings.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. We'll do
Yeah.
it later. Yeah.
Anyway, we have confirmation that our containment bathroom is ready to leave, and it's going to be here, which I'm very excited about. It's been a long project that's been delayed for a long period of time. And just on another note that's not in here, it says working through the quotes for the EV chargers. We actually submitted the grant application. We finally got all the quotes in today. Potentially, the grant, it's a rebate program, looking at trying to qualify for about $160,000 worth of our EV chargers.
Cool.
RVs and EVs and a lot of these in my world these days. Public Works getting ready for spring. Going out catch basins basically is what they're doing. We have to hot steam a couple of them. There's some that are really frozen, so I don't know if anybody saw that there was some additional overland water on the corner of Government and Second, I believe, for a couple of days there. We had to get
Is that over just
and now on tops there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to get our
I think they've been out twice already.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
that spot,
Yeah. We've been working very diligently with myself, Tom, and Craig from Turner Valley on the rollout for the 3-stream program. And there's been a lot of work that's had to go into that program, and the three of us are rocking it, so we're very happy about that. I did not put the report, we just had to report at JPAC.
Yeah.
So I didn't do a lot of reporting in on that. Protective Services, you saw that currently can call him bylaw officer, came on board March 2nd as a full-time employee. And we're waiting for approvals through the Solicitor General for CPO 1. We anticipate that that's a 25-day turnaround from a week and a half ago. So probably by the end of the month, he should be good to go. He comes in as a trained officer, so.
Is he live around here? Are we allowed to ask him? Is he local to the community?
He has recently moved closer to community. I will tell you that.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He actually came,
I was just curious if he was from around here.
yeah, no, actually, he was a certified sheriff in the north.
Oh. Okay.
And then went to Canmore for a while, and he will continue on a casual part-time basis with the.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. I can tell you that.
Appreciate it.
And he lives within the local area.
Awesome.
Okay. The new CPO vehicle, council did that approval, I think in November. I think, was it new council? Yeah. So that has actually met the check boxes and has been recently delivered. It's getting all of the equipment in. Should be in service in town probably within the next month and a half. Again, depending on availability, because supply chain is causing issues with lots of different products, including installations of lights and cameras and all of that kind of thing. We are looking at reselling the charger. We're not going to put that into our fleet. We will be reselling it as a CPO vehicle because right now, because of supply chain, it's a challenge for other communities to get vehicles, and we'll do what we need to do to have it repaired and road ready for the next year. It won't be donated. Downtown Planning's only been working on their downtown ARP plus a whole bunch of other reporting as well. Rod and myself and the consulting engineers have been diligently working on this offsite levy bylaw project, which has taken us about 18 months now, pretty close to 2 years in the making. What we've had to do is we've had to go through all of our previous development permits, match them up to the levies amounts that we had collected since 1990. The last bylaw review that we had was in 2008. And we've gone through different methodologies of ways of collecting monies and how to apply those levies to particular projects. So that time has, it's been a lot of back and forth there. So we are looking at potentially doing a developer consultation, I believe in the first week in April. I think it's delayed to the first week in April. And then hopefully have the bylaw to council for your review in June. We are responding to the concern that has been arisen from that. Did you get that one? Yeah, okay. Finance is working through the 2021 audit, lots of hours being put in, and we have now, council has received the budget. So as soon as the audit's done and we have that due poll, we'll put the dates up for the finalization for the meetings. OH&S, we had one incident from the admin building, which was great. Didn't happen in any other buildings, but the investigation's been completed. It was just a near miss. I don't know what else to say. Parks and arenas real quick. Give you the hours, the usage at the fitness park, the pump track. We received our Calgary Foundation grant for the 2022 operating year. Council that was here previously, you might have noted that in 2021 we didn't get the Calgary Foundation grant for operations, but it has arrived in 2022. So that's a good thing. We've also started to advertise and send out our park space planning for 606. We don't have an official name for 606, but it's at the park and ride location. In behind there is going to be an anticipated day use area. So we've gone out for community consultation on that. That's both on the website and on our social media. And looking forward to hearing what the community desires so that we can put a park plan together for that. I think that's about it. I don't know what else to say. Is there any questions?
Just kidding. Deputy Mayor Clinton, go ahead.
How do you get numbers on the fitness park usage and pump track usage?
Yeah, or even the outdoor.
I was going to ask.
Track, pump track. Everyone's got the same question.
Listen, I didn't know what the question was before you asked. It's hard for me to know.
So because of our, because it's a facility and all of our facilities are protected through security cameras, we're able to count people.
Follow up?
Yeah, so you have someone like not watching the security cameras all the time because that's
No.
a lot of work. So someone goes back and fast forwards through the footage and counts people. Okay.
Person, that's.
I don't know.
Your time's up. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Who owns the private land to the west of the park and ride 606?
Like before the river? Like from the park right to the river?
You betcha.
Okay, cool, just clarify. Yeah, the river does.
I believe Vale's Greenhouse does, but is it, yeah, there is a sliver in there. And you wouldn't be able to see it on this map, but if you
It's
go-
on your, on the website, on the.
On the
what's it
GIS.
called? The Census,
Survey.
your survey, thank you. On your survey, there's a sliver and I was wondering if it was, province owned it, it's a firm, or it just says private land.
It's owned and attached to the private firm. Yeah. Although that land, because it is adjacent to the river, there could be challenges with public lands as far as legislation goes.
Is there really public access to the river?
We have negotiated with the landowner that there would be. As long as people don't want to burn. What's that? There's fencing.
Yeah.
And I have that in writing.
Councilor Lalonde.
I would have two requests. I don't know if a motion's needed or not. One would be, with the possibility of a parade this year, is it possible to get a hold of AT sooner than later to get the lines at Tim Hortons done before our summer traffic picks up? I know we had problems in the past with paint availability for the roads, but we always seem to be the last on the list and summer's half over before those lines come in. And we get loaded with near misses. I'm just asking if we can put a bug in somebody's ear at AT to get us at the top of the list. My second request has to do with this weekend. We have the senior girls provincial basketball tournament at the high school. It's going to be crazy busy. We have a hockey tournament at the hockey rink, and there's a curling tournament at the curling rink. That area is going to be nuts. I would ask if our CPOs, if our two officers are on shift, just to have a presence there to make sure there's no blocking driveways, impeding people, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not asking for overtime or extra trips, but if they're around, spend a little time. That's all I would ask.
The provincial tournament was last week, not there.
Yeah, but there's still another one this week.
Zones.
Girls basketball.
Girls basketball.
No, yeah, but no, the curling,
Yeah,
Oh,
there's still a tournament this weekend.
no.
Yeah, the girl at the bank says she's playing it. So,
Not
I don't
early.
know. Even still, I know there's hockey and there's definitely basketball. That
Yeah.
basketball is.
It's a congested area, so we'll make
It's
sure
gonna
that
be
we ask.
busy,
all I
busy, crazy.
Yeah, we have a hockey tournament there this weekend, Friday, Saturday, all day.
Walk.
Transit.
Grab
I'm
the
gonna
bag.
park my truck wherever.
Probably got Probably got photographs from
Oh, we don't need a motion for that.
I don't think any motion, it's just.
the president of the curling club because they were blocking. We didn't even have curlers there and they were blocking everything.
Well, I know
Oh,
the
that's
school has told all the grade 12 students to park in the back of the arena and leave that parking for the basketball people because there is a lot. So
That was crazy.
37 riders, $388. I'm sorry it didn't make my report.
Could you send that in an email? Would you like-
I would not mind, yeah. Sorry, I'm glad I remembered, like, because it was in there, I must have, yeah, formatting, sorry.
The bonus is last weekend with the provincial mixed and the basketball zones, I really noticed downtown was big, crazy busy too.
well, it's gonna
There
be
was a
awesome.
lot of people going shopping and it was awesome, actually. It was busy.
Yeah, nice to see.
So the provincials this weekend at the school exponentiate the zones that we had.
Yeah.
The way it's working out Thursday, it starts tomorrow morning, 8:30 tip-off. But in order to play in the gold medal game Saturday night, tip-off is at 9 or 9:30. You've got to win 3 games Thursday, 3 games Friday, 3 games Saturday. So the zones, teams come in, play, and if they lose, they're gone. If they win, they come back 4 hours later. Here, these guys are going to be in town for 3 days stay. So it's going to be great for our community, great exposure.
Unfortunately, our kids didn't make it.
We didn't.
The girls team.
Our seniors? Yeah, we do. We tip off Thursday at 11.
Oh, I thought Kaylee told me that they,
They lost zones last
Zones.
weekend.
They lost.
they still qualify. Yeah.
Can you send me an email? Just send me an email to remind me, and so I can just send it to Jen.
Sure.
Watch it too.
Yeah, now with none of this anymore, we got full stands, it's gonna be great. Get up, support. Go Jailers, go.
Okay, can we get a motion to accept?
I'll give you a motion to accept CEO report for information.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay. Can I adjourn?
Yeah, you can.
I'm not actually in a hurry.
Oh, no, you haven't looked under here. No, I'm just kidding. At 8:16, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
You stick around? Chit chat.